What's up, Middle Georgia Dog Pound? Welcome to another edition of the Middle Georgia Dog Pound Live. I'm your host, Brian. Matt, Kevin, what's up, fellas?
What's up, buddy?
What's up?
How are you guys doing?
Doing great. Glad to be here again.
Right.
I am definitely looking forward to a great show with you guys. Going to recap the Sanford Bulldogs that we took down in Sanford Stadium. So maybe I got that backwards. But say it three times fast, and you will have a tongue twister. That is for sure. Yeah, great win this weekend in between the hedges. Glad to be home. Glad to see our dogs show up big. We're going to recap it all, talk a little bit about what we felt from the game, and then we'll get into our preview of the South Carolina Gamecocks and what we expect to see happen there. Before we get going, though, a few housekeeping tidbits. I want to remind everybody if this is your first time on the show, go to StreamYard.com/Facebook to give permission to show your comment on the show. I'd love to hear from you. Be glad to take questions, comments, opinions. We take them all. Whatever you got to say. I mean, you can be like John Akaki and just put the random stuff up there, and we'll put it on the screen. Yeah, and then if you have a product or a business you want to promote, please reach out to us, middlegeorgiadogpound@gmail.com. That's middle GA dog pound, spelled like it's supposed to be, DAWG pound@gmail.com. Looking forward to hearing from you guys. And we'll be glad to talk to you and have you maybe have you on the show. Well, guys, what you say? Let's roll that Sanford Bulldogs game footage.
Here gets clobbered on the release of the ball. It goes downfield incomplete. He got drilled by Pop. Jamon Dumas-Johnson. Here comes pressure again. Hires going to run with. He fumbled the football. Pile at the 40. The ball came out of his hand. He had it with one hand. George has got the ball. The Dogs have recovered the Hires fumble on his scramble in Sanford territory. The Dogs get it with Xavier Sori, the linebacker. Comes out of that pile with the football. Georgia's possession on the Sanford 40. Looking for our first touchdown of the game. Play fake. Bennett going to keep it. Roll to the right. Get inside the pylon. Touchdown. There it is.
Perfect read. Perfectly well executed by Stetson Bennett. Again, the athleticism to get outside of contain and stuck his foot in the ground and found pay dirt.
Play fake. Stetson throws it into the end zone. Caught by the freshman, Dylan Bell, on a quick slant from the right edge. And a touchdown.
Quick little slant, dump it right where the linebackers vacated. Perfectly executed play. Good drive there by the Georgia offense.
Yeah. Bennett under center. Stretches, handoff, McIntosh. Easy run into the end zone. Untouched at right guard. And that's a touchdown.
Boy, big block there by Tate Ratledge. McClendon, good job by Erickson. Allowed us just to walk into the end zone.
That was. It was just a pleasant jog. Jack Podlesny for a 25-yard field goal try here out of the hold of Stetson Bennett. And the kick is up and good. 3 more for the Dogs. And that will be that. The ball game will come to an end. The final 5 seconds will tick away, and Georgia goes to 2-0. The Dogs have not given up a touchdown this season. They shut out today after giving up 3 last week in the win over Oregon. The final score here in the home opener, Georgia 33, Sanford nothing.
Yeah, big win there for Georgia. As we talked about a little bit before we came on the show, Georgia looked a little vanilla on offense, but our defense, man, just kept the hammer down. And obviously, they got the big goose egg, which I love to see. I'm a big fan of the O on offense and defense. So, what did you take away from the game, Matt? What was your key takeaways?
So I was there at the game, and like I said, like you said there, very vanilla offense. Not so flashy, A lot of it, I think, is just working on some of the things maybe they struggle with in other games. Like you could say some plays that we saw, like that inside shovel pass to Bowers. Like, why it didn't work the first time. They're seeing it now again. It doesn't work again. I think that's a play they're trying to see. Is it something we actually can do, or is it just a one-time deal? I think they're seeing things like that they don't work. So we don't need to keep going with them moving forward. Wasn't a lot of. I mean, Bennett was throwing the ball high a lot, which was kind of out of the norm. I think his mindset was get it high, get our guys get a chance at it only because we had more height than anybody else out there, and then we would and then not worry about interceptions. But I think initially it ended up just being incompletions, and so we should have had touchdowns. We ended up having field goals and stuff like that. It wasn't great, but anytime you beat a team, anytime you win a home game, anytime you put 33 points up and they score 0, it's a great day. So wasn't great, like you said. Echo your point. Defense still looked pretty strong. Defense had a really good holding there, which is great. I know it's against a lower kind of caliber team, but still that's a good solid showing for sure. To keep somebody under 200 yards is an accomplishment, no matter who you're playing. But yeah, that defense brought it. I mean, Sanford played a defense that was. I was there. I texted you guys in the stands. Like they're putting all 11 guys within 7 to 10 yards of that line of scrimmage. So with that, plus they blitzed about 75% of the time, and so they made it where they knew we were going to try to work on the run. And I think some of that was Kirby talking to other coach, talking to Hatcher and say, hey, we need to work on the run a little bit. So how about you guys stack the box and we're going to work on the run.
Yeah.
And so things like that, I think they knew they weren't going to win the game. So let's both teams work on something that we need to work on. And once again, just my opinion, not saying that happened. Don't go on the Twitter or something. So just things like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Hunter Ivy said Dylan Bell is going to be special. Yeah, we got to see him. That was one of my highlight players before the season started. I think he's going to be a breakout player for us. But I'm going to tell you, that dude does not look like a receiver. He looks like a running back all day long. He is the thickest receiver I've ever seen. I mean, he has got all of the running back build, but he is definitely going to be somebody to watch as the season goes along. Let's see. Hunter Ivy says Bennett was throwing way high. I just can't understand how you throw the ball high to a 6'7" tight end. I agree. It seemed like he was trying not to throw an interception versus just delivering the football, stepping into it like he was doing in the Oregon game. He was almost seemed like he was taking a little bit off the ball a little for some reason. But what did you think, Kevin?
I agree with you. He kind of was short arming it, I think, and just wasn't following through with his throws, and it's kind of a little inaccurate compared to what he was in the Oregon game. The main thing I took away is the defense is legit. I mean, this defense is stout. Everybody talks about a bend don't break. These guys just want to break other teams. That's all they want to do. And these guys come in fighting, grinding, and took it all the way to the end. They never stopped through the whole game. So anybody wants to know if they can go 4 quarters, you better believe they can go 4 quarters. The main thing is, everybody's got to realize with this game right here is this was Kirby's mentor. Hatcher is the guy who gave him a job starting out, and he wasn't going to go out there and embarrass him by no means. He wasn't going to run up the score. I think our predictions were a little lofty going into this game last week, and he's just not going to embarrass him like that. He's not going to do him like that. You wouldn't do your mentor like that. You would not go in and purposely embarrass them or the team that he coaches. So I think he went in, and that was part of the deal with the fourth quarter. He cut the fourth quarter short, knocked it down because there's no point in really taking a chance of hurting a player on either side of the ball. So overall, though, I think this was, like Matt said, it was a designed game scheme. And I told y'all last week, this Sanford has a good defense. They got several guys on there that are fast. They get to the ball, and that's what they did. You know, they Georgia worked on their run and still has work to do. And I think that was partly because of what's coming up this week with South Carolina. That's where we need to get better, and we need to be able to run the ball because this is a defense that we could gash. And I know we're getting into that later.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So John Morgan, he said, I hope McConkey, and no AD calls him McDonkey, but yeah, he says I hope McConkey continues to show out. Yeah, he's definitely doing his thing. That is for sure. Definitely hated to see AD get hurt in the game too. But I don't expect to see him in South Carolina. We won't need him, and we don't need him against Kent State either. So
yeah, I think the word is that you're not going to see him this week.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, guys, what was your biggest surprise of the weekend when you guys were watching all the games with the upsets? There was against Sunbelt went on like they hit the lottery or something, right?
Yeah, somebody was living right for sure.
What was your most surprising game from last weekend, Matt?
For me, I think it would be the Notre Dame Marshall game. That was just Notre Dame at home. They just had a good opening showing against Ohio State. Not a fan of either one of those teams, but just thought that they've been recruiting well. Top 10 the last 5 years. Even though Brian Kelly is gone, you still had the cupboards are still pretty full there, and just thought that would have been pretty much a cakewalk for them, but it was not, and I loved every second of it.
Yep, absolutely, Kevin.
Mine has to be the Texas A&M game. Me and you, especially Brian, talk about App State. You always got to watch for App State. That's the upset team. Seems like every year they pick a team to go in and beat. And this year, Texas A&M was the victim of that thumping. And I hope you downloaded that video of them at the midnight yell because that jump's hilarious. I watched that today, and I'm like, I wonder how all those people are feeling now because that video has got out and they look like a bunch of idiots. But yeah, that was my biggest surprise after all the talk about how good A&M was going to be this year. They get taken down by a FCS school and have to pay them that money for that butt kicking that they received. That has to be embarrassing.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, you mentioned that video. I put that video up on the Dog Pound page. So before every home game, that's one of Texas A&M's traditions. They do the I don't remember what they call it. It's a yell practice or
Yeah, it's
whatever.
the midnight yell. Yeah,
The midnight yell practice.
man.
Mm-hmm. And so of course they get in there and they make fun of the team that they're supposed to be playing. Well, it didn't age well. And if you guys haven't seen it, I'll try to get it pulled up here in just a second and play it for you. But yeah, it did not age well at all. They definitely took it to A&M and make them look like the hillbillies, that's for sure. So here we go. I got it, Kevin. We're going to roll this footage. Well, I say I'm going to roll this footage. It's just spinning.
Welcome back to Midnight Yell Practice. Boy, do I love to be back in Kyle Field the week after a season opening win. I'm gonna lie to y'all, I had to Google this team to make sure that they were even real. I was really confused because Appalachia is definitely not a state. But sure enough, I found them, and they're located deep, and I mean deep in the backwoods. Just like you would think any hillbilly college that names themselves the Mountaineers. I just hope that these guys can get here tomorrow all right, because I know for a fact that half of their football team can barely even read the name on their jerseys, let alone read a map. It's a shame that the only 2 brain cells that all these guys have left are going to get knocked out by our wrecking crew defense tomorrow. Now let's have a Fighting Texas Ag yell practice.
I've never understood that little thing that they do.
I don't either.
And I watched it when they came to Sanford Stadium a couple years ago, and I watched them do it over and over, and I'm like, I don't understand this. Somebody's got to explain that. So if there's anybody out there that understands that aspect of the A&M yell, please shoot me a message, shoot me an email, explain it to me, call me up. I need a lesson because it does not make any sense to me. Let's see. You catch some comments here. Hunter Ivy says App State's domination of the Aggies. The scoreboard didn't show it, but the stat sheet especially top. As for Notre Dame, that was shocking as well. Marshall put more points on the scoreboard than Ohio State. Yeah, absolutely. He says Marshall beating Notre Dame sure hurts Ohio State's strength of schedule. Shoot. Ohio State's got more stuff to worry about than their strength of schedule. I don't think they're gonna go undefeated. They didn't look that great to me. I mean, they better watch out for Michigan State. I just got to tell you that team looked pretty good. Let's see, Larry Purvis, how you doing, fella? I think I hit all the comments here. Well, guys, we can sit here and reminisce over Sanford all we want, but I mean, I'm looking forward to getting into the Gamecocks. I don't know about you.
Yeah, I'm ready to get to it.
What about you, Brian? What was your shocker of the week?
Me?
Yes.
Yeah.
My shocker of the week was the Texas and Alabama game. I did not expect that to be as close as it was, and for Alabama to have 15 penalties in that game, that is not the Alabama that I know. That was a completely undisciplined team, and they are out of control. And it showed it after the game when they're out there doing the horns down, and you got your head coach telling you not to do that crap, and you keep doing it, and then you do it all the way into the locker room. So there's no respect for Nick Saban. The Nick Saban look or the Nick Saban butt chewing, that don't exist anymore. So we're in a new era of Alabama football. I honestly believe that we're going to see Alabama lose 2 regular season games this year just because they're undisciplined. And I said it from the get-go at the beginning of the season. I still feel that way. They are not the team that they were last year or the year before that or the year before that. Alabama has depended on 3 main players, a speedy running back and 2 speedy receivers. They don't got that this year, guys. They ain't got it. And their defense is as undisciplined as I've ever seen them. Holding penalties, pass interference. I mean, to see somebody lined up in the neutral zone that's a veteran player, that's a coaching problem, guys. That is a coaching problem. That's not a player problem. It is a coaching problem. And they've got it in Alabama, and it's going to rear its head before the year's over.
Well, heck, they almost lost that game, so I don't think you're far off, bro.
The only reason that Alabama won that game is because Texas scored too fast.
Yeah,
that's the only
probably
reason.
Right.
If they had drugged that thing out and run it like they should have done, Alabama will have a loss on the in the loss column already. Let's see. Let me hit some more comments before I forget. Hunter Ivy, should that have been called a safety on Young? In my opinion, yes. Bama had no business winning that game. They had luck on their side. Oh, yeah. Matt Peake, he's number 1 for telling you Alabama's the luckiest team in college football.
All day, every day.
Next to Auburn, right?
Yes.
I mean, Alabama is the luckiest team that ever existed. So, let's see. Who said that? Larry Purvis says, I agree with that. Alabama has been out of sorts. Yep, they have. They're not the same Alabama team that we've seen in years past, and it's showing up. And that's why it took Alabama all year last year to get to a point where they could actually play. And it's gonna, I mean, it's gonna hit them up front this year. I don't think they can make it all the way through their regular season schedule without getting 2 losses. But I could be wrong. Been known to be wrong, but I did call the national championship last year. So
Spot on, I might say.
well, let's get into the South Carolina game, man. Let's roll this footage. That's not the right footage.
The heat, it's intense. It's not going out anytime soon. We know what it takes to keep the fire ablaze, but it's about time we turn it up a notch. There's a fire within that's fueled by hunger, and hunger to win for the brother next to you.
Connection, composure, physicality.
We have to continue feeding the fire every single day. One they can't put out.
And he hurdles another guy. Oh. Georgia picked it up.
4 quarters, composure, connection. Composure, connection. Everything we do, we believe in each other, okay?
Make the hit. Touchdown. Give him some end zone.
It's gonna be hot. So remember, if you play with fire, you're gonna get burned. So don't mess with the heat.
Let's go. Let's go. Love it, man. Love it. That don't get you fired up, your wood's wet. Let's get into this thing, man. Mr. Matt, I know you got some good info on the South Carolina Gamecocks, but before we jump into the offense, I know you're going to hit it hard for us and give us some good stats. As you guys know, Shane Beamer is the head coach. Shane was with Kirby Smart in his first year at Georgia, first 2 years, as a matter of fact. He was with us for that first year of struggles where we almost lost to Nicholls State and we lost to Vanderbilt and, gosh, who was it? Ole Miss that we lost to that year as well. And then we come back the next year and then go to the Rose Bowl and, ascend up to the mountaintop. Of course, lost the national championship, but he was there. He was there on the team. You got to see all of the good tidbits of starting a new program at a school. I watched a lot of video on Shane. I wish I could have pulled a lot of it down and showed it, but we'd be here all night. So the thing I really like about him is he is a realist. Kevin and I both said it. He does come off a little quirky with his little videos that he's come up with, but he's relating to those guys, that's of that age. So he's a realist. I mean, he in his press conferences he laid out all the reasons, all the things that South Carolina has to do and have an answer for that they don't have an answer for, and so, I mean, you saw that after last year's game where he got in the press conference and said that the reporter asked him what did Georgia do to on defense to get pressure, and he's like, what? He said, what did Georgia do different? And he's like, they have like 100 5-stars. They're really fast. They've got a defensive lineman that weighs 340 pounds and runs better than anybody on this call. And so that's a realist. I appreciate that. He's not preaching his team or building up his team to be something that they're really not. So I expect this program, he might be, before it's over with, the best coach that South Carolina's ever had. So just keep a watch out for him. Of course, here's the 2 mascots. The chicken that they can't determine what the name's going to be called. It's goes from Sir Mix-a-Lot to Sir Big Spur to the commander of Spurs. I don't remember all the different names they came up with, but I think they ended up settling back with the original name there, Sir Big Spur. It's so hard to figure out how to name a chicken, I guess. I don't know. I named mine Rusty, but whatever. And then, of course, the walking mascot, that's Cocky. And so there you go. You got the spiel on the South Carolina Gamecocks, and now you're informed. So, Matt, take it away, buddy.
It is insane how they spent most of their off season not worried about season conditioning, but about the mascot's name. It's insane how they're unprepared for football at that school. So yeah, that's what we're looking at here. So got our quarterback here is Spencer Rattler. He's a transfer from Texas. Our transfer from Oklahoma. Looking at his numbers, you would think, okay, he has not been very productive. He only has two touchdowns this year and 3 interceptions. But he's got 603 yards that he's completed, which is third best in the SEC, right behind our boy Stetson. So we consider to say he's not productive. Yes, the bad part about him is he takes a lot of sacks. He has taken 9 sacks so far this year. So is that a atonement to his offensive line, or is it he doesn't know how to stay in the pocket and he runs for his life and he ends up getting sacked? He's got rushing yards of -35, so we're not seeing any big runs from him coming out. That's supposedly one of his trademarks, to be able to be light on his feet and escape and elude pressure, because he's taken 9 sacks. So I'm not going to do a whole lot about their offensive line. I think the offensive line is very inexperienced. They're not the best. Does the guy have a decent arm? And I'm going to be honest with you, he does. If you look at last week's game, his throws within 20 yards, he was 19 for 21. That's pretty good. I don't care who you are. If you're doing like what everybody else has done so far this year, Oregon did it. Sanford tried doing it. These short, outside, dink off passes, little guys run with it, or these slant patterns. That's what he does really well. And that moves the ball down the field. But does it put the ball in the end zone? No, it does not. But it does move the ball down the field. So we will have some struggle with that. I especially think in the first half, until we get acclimated into it, until we put some points up, and they have to go deep. Deep balls, he's not doing good. But those short, within 20 yards of the line, he is throwing pretty accurately. But overall, he's only like 61%, which is not great either. So we're gonna see some ups and downs from him. I hope he has his worst game of his life for tomorrow, for sure. But we know past history, as we go into this stadium, South Carolina always seems to have some weird, crazy voodoo that runs over us. But once again, that's the old era. We're in a new era now with Kirby. So our discipline and our players will overwhelmingly, I think, counteract that. We also have the running back here. So the running back here it's Marshawn Floyd. Some of you guys who keep up recruiting was a guy that we also heavily recruited for Georgia. They don't run the ball very well. He's only got like 53 yards on the year so far. So 53 yards. I think he's got well over 30 attempts. So I mean, they're not doing very good at all on the run game. It's not just him. He's the highest leading rusher they have. But the good thing about him, for their sake, he has 103 yards passing. So they kind of do what we do a little bit with McIntyre. They use a lot of the running backs, passing game, keep them in the passing game to get guys in with speed and space. So we're going to see a lot of that as well. So just because they're not rushing the ball, that they may be doing a lot of throwing to the running backs, both of them. And also, here's their prize possession. Most people never heard of it. Well, actually, that's the tight end. Before I get started with that, you wonder why I put the tight end with the running backs? Because this tight end has rushed the ball 11 times. That's right. Their tight end has rushed the ball 11 times. And so his passing game is not great, but he runs the ball. So that's a little leery to see a tight end run the ball that much. And he's 230 pounds. He's not a huge tight end by our standards, but they want to put him in space, and they're going to try to get him the ball because he's an athlete. To our next one is our wide receiver that we're going to look at here with Anton Wells. Anton Wells is a transfer as well. He's from James Madison. He had 1,200 yards plus last year at James Madison. This guy, so far, the leading receiver for them with over 200 yards. He's their big time guy. We were wondering if he was going to be as effective as he was at James Madison. Is he going to be in the SEC? And he's proven he can be. He can be one of those home run guys if they get a ball over the top on us. So he's got speed. He's got good hands. He's got a decent size. He's kind of built like Dylan is, like we talked about earlier for Georgia. Looks like a running back out there. He is a good player. He's going to give us some fits. He's going to have some catches. We can't stop that. But we can definitely contain the aspect. We just can't give those big home run balls over the top like we did last year at South Carolina. Had a few too many of those last year with a less experienced quarterback than we have here with Spencer. So that's our game plan. I think we'll see a lot of the same kind of game calls on offense as we have, as they'll have, but we got better athletes. So eventually we won't have anything to worry about. There you go. On to Kevin with the defense.
Good deal, man. Appreciate that, Mr. Matt there. So yeah, so I've got the special teams. So I got them in my lineup here. So we throw our special teams guys up. So this is the special teams coordinator, Pete Limbo. I believe he came out of Louisville. Looks like that he was brought in specifically because of his special teams experience. He's been with several different teams and has a unique ability to get the most out of his special teams play. So their place kicker is Mitch Jader. I think he's 3 for 3 so far this season. He fit a 53-yarder against Georgia State, but most of his other 2 kicks were within 25 yards. But he does have the leg to hit those deep field goals if needed. And then, of course, their punter is Kai Kroger. He's from Lake Forest, Illinois. He's got a booming leg as well. He's had 10 punts this season so far for 448 yards. His longest was 79 yards. So he can definitely flip the field on you. So that's another key piece that they have in their arsenal for their defense. So keep his name on the tip of your tongue. You should see a lot of that come Saturday. Should see his name being called on a regular basis. All right, defense, Mr. Kevin, what you got, buddy?
Before we get into these guys, this is a defense that is a beat up and banged up defense. They are going to be coming into this game missing 2 of their starters, and these are their leading starting linebackers of Jordan Stacken and Mo Kaba. Stacken is accumulated 10 tackles in 2 games and 1 sack for a loss of 8 yards, and the Kaba has accumulated 8 tackles. So these 2 are going to be missed in this game, especially going up against Georgia's offense, especially for a team that's given up 29 points per game and 385 yards a game. I think that these 2 will be missed. And also there's 3 guys that are questionable. A tackle is Alex Hundley, a DB Cam Smith, and another DB RJ Roderick. If these guys are all starters, if they're not able to play, that's going to be a huge role to fill with 5 guys missing off your starting defense. Ones to watch is Devontae Reed. This guy is a senior corner. He's probably one of the best corners that South Carolina has. He's a transfer from Central Michigan. He's accumulated 5 tackles this season. Last year, he finished out the season with 72 tackles and 2 interceptions. So the guy is, well experienced. I don't know who they're going to have him cover, but we're just have to keep our eye out for him. I'm sure you're going to see him all over the field. Next guy is Jordan Birch. He is a linebacker. He's a junior. He's also a Columbia native. He's 6'6", 275. He's very, very physically imposing in the middle of the field there. So you have to watch out for him. He's got elite quickness. So you'll probably see him blasting all over the field, especially with these two other linebackers missing. You probably won't see him come out of the game very much. Also, another linebacker is a senior, Brad Johnson, 6'2", 238. I think that this is probably the strength of their defense is their linebacking core, and that's pretty close to it. They have some good linebackers, and that's what keeps their defense in the game. This guy, Brad Johnson, accumulated 74 tackles in the 2021 season and 2.5 sacks. This guy is a leader on the defense, and he understands the defense and the position set of each player. The next guy is a defensive lineman, Zach Pickens. Pretty stout fella, 6'4", 305. Also a South Carolina native. So these guys are playing for their home team. So these in 2022, he's accumulated 4 tackles and 8 assists in the Arkansas game. Not really sure why he didn't play in the first game of the season. I tried to find that information, but I was not able to. In 2021, he accumulated 23 tackles, 15 assists, and 4 sacks. This guy has been around. He's a senior. He's experienced. He's going to be leading that defensive line to try to close up those gaps in the run game because they know that is their weakness. These guys are going to try to fill those gaps, and we got to rely on our offensive line to bust holes because that has been their weakness. Arkansas gashed that defense mightily, and I would expect that's the game plan going in is to expose those weaknesses in that defensive line and open up holes for our running game.
Yeah, I was watching the South Carolina Arkansas game, and you're exactly right. I mean, they were just running between the tackles anytime they wanted to do it, and South Carolina had South Carolina had no answer for it. The other thing I noticed in that game, and we talked a little bit about before we came on the show, was that Arkansas's receivers were just running wide open down the field, which was odd because they didn't have the passing yards. I think Arkansas just decided they were going to commit to the run, and that's what they were going to do, and that was their game plan, and they never diverted from it because it was working. But yeah, there is a lot of holes in that South Carolina defense. I was trying to look up. There was one corner that I heard on a podcast today that, and I cannot remember his name. I was trying to look him up while you were talking, but there's the corner that South Carolina has. He's 6 foot, like 205, 6 foot, but he's really long, got long arms, and he is their lockdown corner. And I wish I could find his name, but I can't remember. But that's all they have is for a DB is that one corner. That's it. So there's not a lot of talent on that defensive side of the ball.
Yeah, and especially being riddled with injuries does not do them any favors.
Absolutely. Well, guys, let's get into. You got any other thoughts on the South Carolina game on the team, Matt, before we move forward?
I mean, like you mentioned some of it already. I mean, they've had teams, Georgia State and Arkansas both rushed very well against this team, but also at the same time, neither one of those teams really did anything in the passing game. Which right now Georgia's all about passing. So if this team is doing South Carolina's doing some good stuff on the passing game to kind of mute some of that stuff, that could be a struggle for us if we can't get the running game going. That's how they say. You open up the passing game by starting the threat of the rushing on a team. So we'll see what happens in that form. It may just because they didn't need to pass, like you said, and it may not even matter when they can shut down run or not. Monken may throw 40 passes their way and still have 400 yards passing, and who knows what they're going to do. They're going to find what works and going to stay with it, whatever it is.
Deal. Well, for some reason, Georgia's decided they're going to have 2 game trailers again this year. They throw one up at the beginning of the week, and then you get another one either on Thursday or Friday. This week, our show was on Friday, so we got 2 game trailers. So I'll go ahead and play the other one, then we'll jump into Week 3 matchups.
The final score here in the home opener, Georgia 33, Sanford nothing. The Dogs will open up conference play next week in Columbia, South Carolina.
Tough. Think about physicality, think about playing on the road. It's what you prepare for all summer and all season is just to be able to have the composure and the energy and toughness and really the endurance to play at a place like South Carolina.
Life is long and don't you know being wrong.
I feel like SEC, is the best football in the country. Week in and week out, you're going to have a challenge.
They got a tremendous team and they got a tremendous atmosphere, and they'll be a tough opponent. We got to go and see what our team's really all about.
Good deal, good deal. Yeah, I know that the South Carolina fans believe this should be a night game, and unfortunately, they're not getting the ratings, so they're just gonna have to deal with what they got. Keith, Week 3 matchups. Let's do this, guys. Let's do it. Got the U, Miami, and A&M. Is that the Snore Bowl?
Wake up, Matt.
Is that the Snore Bowl, Matt?
It's just that it's like I don't care. Like I said, I think we said during our Texas A&M is going to have some losses this year. I think we first started out thinking about Texas A&M, they're going to be better improved versus last year and all this jazz. Then we found out they only returned 7 starters. Turning 7 starters, you're not going to be meshed in like a unit like you would need to be at the beginning of the year. They're going to have some losses. I might be surprised they have as many as they did last year. 4 losses last year. This is going to be another loss for Texas A&M. And I hate Miami because every time they win a game, no matter if they're playing the Blind Academy, everyone thinks the U is back. And I'm so sick of it. That's why I roll my eyes, because either one of these teams win, the national media is going to be like, oh, they're back. And neither one of these teams are back. So it's a coin toss, but I think ultimately Miami will win the game, and then ACC will have about 5 seconds of bragging rights, but who cares?
Well, I think the Vegas has them by 6, has A&M by 6. They're favoring them by 6. Max Johnson was announced today is going to be the starter over Haynes King. We'll see how that works out. But so who do you think is going to win the game?
Miami.
Miami's taking it?
Yeah.
Kevin?
Well, this would definitely be Miami's biggest game so far this season. They've played 2 games, one Bethune and Southern Miss. So they haven't played anybody, and they've got them ranked in the top 15. I don't know whether that's just because there's really a struggle to find teams to put in the top 15 or what, but this will definitely be Miami's biggest challenge so far to this point. Because they blew both of those teams out of the water. I didn't even write the scores down because they were ridiculous. But this is a must-win for Texas A&M. This is a redemption game coming off a loss that they should not have lost by any stretch. I think that this is the moment where they realize they can't just roll into a game and expect to win because they're an SEC team. It's just not going to work that way. You got to prep, be ready to play. Like I said, this was their wake up call, and I think Texas A&M is going to come out of this game. I got 36-24.
Wow. Yeah, I'm on toss up on this one, man. I just don't know. I don't know. I really don't know. John Morgan says Miami's going to upset A&M. Hunter Ivy says the Aggies changed their quarterback to Max Johnson. He is the left-handed quarterback for transfer from LSU. Miami wins 24-17. Daddy says Miami wins this one. Hey, might as well go with Miami.
This is a night game at Texas A&M. I know they played Texas A&M at Texas A&M last week too, but it is a night game there, so I would hope that would help.
BYU and Oregon. What you think, Matt?
So this is a big deal for anybody's ever looked at BYU's schedule this year. BYU is playing a ton of legit teams this year. They really think this team is legit. They think this team needs to be able to get into the playoff. If you haven't looked at their schedule, who they're playing some high caliber teams. They play Arkansas later this year. They got Oregon here on this team here. They also play Sanford, which is not a huge deal. But they play a lot of big Power 5 teams this year. And this is going to be the ones they're going to hold their hat on. So this is a big deal for BYU. You got a bunch of Mormons who are all like 37 years old with 5 kids playing on the offensive line. And so you got some mature men playing some boys. So we'll see how good they are. I ultimately think that Oregon will hopefully, with their speed they have, will win this game. But BYU is no sleeping dog, man. Those guys are a solid team. Are they a top 4 team for playoff? No, but they're a solid team. You're going to see them stay in the top 25 in the majority of the year, in my opinion. But I think Oregon wins this game.
What you got, Kevin?
Well, this is going to be, I think it's going to be a shootout, really. BYU is 2-0. Oregon's 1-1. BYU's got wins against South Florida and Baylor last week. Baylor was ranked number 9 last week, and they beat Baylor 26-20. So BYU's coming in ranked number 25. BYU's ranked 12th. Oregon's ranked 25th. Oregon's coming in this week as a big win off of East Washington. That was a 70-14 win. They just blew them out of the water. So I think that it's going to be, if Dan Lanning can get his defense to show up and tackle. Yes, that's what I was about to say. To show up, do their job, and tackle, and follow their assignments. I think that they could come out of this win. It's not going to be an easy win. It's going to be like a skin of your teeth type win. I've got Oregon winning this one 48-42.
Wow, that's a high-scoring game.
Yeah, it's going to be a shootout.
That game's going to take 5 hours.
Yeah.
Daddy says he's pulling for Oregon. Well, I think all of us are pulling for Oregon. I know I am. I just don't know who's going to come out on this one. I'm on the fence on this one as well. Mississippi State, LSU. Matt, what you got?
Okay. I understand, Brian. Everybody knows this. It's no secret at all. I think Hunter Ivy's taking Oregon as well. So just to get that out there, I'm going to take Mississippi State. Remember, why take Mississippi State? Because they throw the ball a lot, and we've noticed that LSU does not have a great secondary, and so I think they're going to put some points on. I think this game's going to be back and forth, just like we talking about the previous game. Back and forth. This could be easily high 30s on both sides, but I think Mississippi State's going to shock them again, like they did it about 3-4 years ago. And they're going to take them down, and they're going to be a little bit of surprise there with Mississippi State, because they do have a good quarterback who's pretty accurate and has right now the leading passer in the SEC. It's a good chance that Mississippi State takes this win for me. That's why I'm going with.
Kevin, what you think?
This one is going to be an interesting game. I think that this is going to be one of those deals that it's whoever's defense actually shows up and plays that will be the winner. Mississippi State is 2-0. LSU's 1-1. Mississippi State went on the road last week and beat what is being called a decent Arizona team. They beat them 39-17. LSU, we all know how they started the season with a loss against Florida State, 24-23. And they're coming off a win against Southern University, 65-17. So I don't know whether they got any of their issues from week 1 fixed, corrected, or what. But it doesn't look good when you let Southern University score 17 points on your defense. So, like I said, each team has let these two teams score on them pretty well. So it's whoever's defense actually shows up and plays this game. But I'm taking Mississippi State to win this game. It's going to be close, 32-28.
Well, this is the one I'm absolutely positive on. Mississippi State is going to win this game hands down, probably more than 2 touchdowns, and I'll tell you why. LSU is probably the most dysfunctional team that's in the West right now, and it's simply because Brian Kelly's there and he is fake as he can be, and all the players know it. So when you have a fake coach, guess what you get? Fake results. You're not going to see anything but just a total trash LSU for this entire year. For some reason, Brian Kelly can turn this thing around. I don't expect him to do it. But Mississippi State has Will Rogers. He's probably the most unappreciated quarterback in the West right now. Kid's got plenty of talent. And the Pirate, he's gonna spread them out and find a way to gash LSU. So I got Mississippi State by 2 touchdowns. I'm absolutely positive Mississippi State wins this game.
And they got leadership. It goes to your point, Brian. They return more starters on any other team in the SEC. They return 17 starters. That team is full leadership. This is the complete opposite of who they're playing on Saturday.
Yep. LSU, let's see, Dad says LSU will figure out a way to win. I don't think so. Hunter Ivy says Mississippi State wins 38-28. That's kind of what I'm thinking too, Hunter. It's gonna be like a 2-touchdown game. Hunter Ivy says Will Rogers passes for 450 yards and 4 TDs. He might do it. Because LSU's defense looks terrible. Horrible. All right. We are fastly running out of time. Let's hit this thing. Ole Miss, Georgia Tech. What you got, Matt?
Oh, I really, really want to pull for my little brother, Georgia Tech. For those who know me, I still have a soft heart for Georgia Tech in my heart because they're a local team. My grandfather went to school there, and if they play Ole Miss like they play Clemson in that first half, Georgia Tech wins it. Call me upset. I'm done doing it. I'm just gonna go with that. I'm leaving it at that.
Well, you got to pull for somebody. Kevin.
Georgia Tech is a complete mess, Matt.
Yeah.
They are a complete disaster. I believe if Mercer played them this year, they could beat them. Their coaches just got to go, or they're never going to be anything. It's just horrible. I am not picking Georgia Tech and picking Ole Miss to win this game, hands down.
Yeah, Ole Miss runs away with this one. This one's the easy one for me. They've got the talent. They've got, Lane Kiffin's just an offensive guru. He's going to find a way to get the best out of his offense, and he's going to outscore Georgia Tech hands down. Hey, and I meant to mention this, and I missed it, but Nebraska, they fired Scott Frost. If they'd have waited, 2 more weeks, they wouldn't have had to pay that buyout. The buyout would have went like in half. It was like a $14 million buyout or something. And if they waited 2 weeks, it would have went down to $7 million. So
apparently they wanted him gone bad.
Yeah.
To make them willing to pay that money out.
Absolutely. Let's see what I got here. Hotty Toddy. Matthew Emilio says, Hotty Toddy, old Lane will hang half 100 on Georgia Tech. That's probably the truth. Dad says 45-0 Ole Miss.
I don't know if they're going to blank them.
That would be embarrassing. Ole Miss doesn't have the defense to blank them. And Georgia Tech, they can score. They're just not consistent. All right, here's the one that I wanted to talk about. I'm ready to go, man. Penn State, Auburn. What you got, Matt?
Auburn is a crap show. Talk about a mess. Auburn's more of a mess than Georgia Tech is, okay? Let's just be real. And it's not like Georgia Tech doesn't have a talent in it. Auburn's just a complete mess. Like, they're like the family you see at Walmart who can't get their crap together and are fighting and like the people like you see at the state fair every year, right? Who are just like they come out of the woodwork to go to the fair and are a complete disaster. That's what Auburn is. So I think Penn State's going to beat them because Auburn's just a wreck. And I want to see Auburn lose every game. Sorry.
I did too. Kevin?
I agree with Matt on this one. Auburn is dumpster fire. They had shades of greatness at the first game of the season, like that they were going to surprise us, and then come out and just not look so good the next game. These teams are both 2-0. Penn State has already beat Purdue this season. The first game of the season, 35-31. It was a squeak-out win. But this would be Auburn's biggest challenge to this point. They played Mercer and San Jose State start the season. They barely beat San Jose State 24-16.
Yep, they were losing at halftime.
24-16 against San Jose State. Right? These guys are.
I've never even heard of San Jose State.
Neither.
What?
It's like the only team they played to beat was Mercer. It's like, we're gonna go out there and just show out against Mercer the first game, and that's it. That's all we're gonna play for.
Yep.
And then we're done. I got Penn State hands down, just throttling them. Oh, by the way, they're playing at Auburn too. So what do you think is going to happen when they get throttled by Penn State
at home?
At home, they're going to get throttled. It's going to be like 42-17.
Yeah, I agree.
Don't sleep on that Southern heat, man. Those folks coming from the north down to the Southern heat. That's a difference maker.
Well,
yeah,
it's a 3:30 game. It's going to start in the heat, and it's only supposed to be in the 80s.
Yeah,
it's going to taper off.
Well, the 80s for Pennsylvania is like 110 for us.
I've been up there around. It's about the same.
Humidity, man. Humidity.
Yeah.
I don't know that we're going to have any, unfortunately. Dad says Penn State 31-13. Hunter Ivy says Penn State 34-10. Here's the reason why I think that Penn State wins right here, guys. It is the creamsicle. The creamsicle will be coming to, what did we say the name of the stadium was? Bryant-Denny?
Yeah.
So the creamsicle will be in Bryant-Denny. Just a bunch of popsicles running around on the field with the Penn State white jerseys, just a bunch of creamsicle going on out there. And Auburn is going to get embarrassed if they wear this jersey, number one. Number two, they have no answers at quarterback. And number three, Brian Harsin is trying to get fired so he can get his payout and get out of Dodge.
Yeah.
That is literally the Syracuse reject uniform.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right, guys, the game that we all want to talk about. This is the one. This is the game that I want to hit on hard. So let's talk about it. Georgia, South Carolina. Give me your prediction, Matt.
So I dealt with this a little bit. So I think I went back and forth. I think we're going to be 38-13. I think we're going to be close. I think we're going to end it up in the fourth quarter. I really truly believe that that we can easily score 45 points on this team. I think we could blank this team. I'll be honest with you. I just don't think it's going to happen. I think we will win the game. I think actually surprisingly we'll cover the point spread, which is insane. 24 points, but I think we will. I think I got 38-13.
Cool. I like that. Kevin, what you got, buddy?
Well, we will most definitely cover the point spread, and this will be the game that we will see our first defensive touchdown right here. Spencer Rattler throws a interception for a touchdown. The defense is going to show out big right here. We're going to put him on his butt at least 2 times. Probably pick him off at least 2 times, one for a touchdown. They're going to take it to the Gamecocks and beat them up, tear them down, rip their feathers out, and come back with a huge win, 44-9.
I like it. Dad says 45-9, Georgia. I like it. Matt Emilio says, winner, chicken dinner. We eating fried chicken for supper Saturday, right? 48-10. I love it. Hunter Ivy says fried chicken will be on the menu tomorrow. Dogs huge, 48-6.
Yes, sir.
Love it, guys, love it. Any other predictions here? So you can see my ticker running across the bottom of the screen there. So they at the beginning of the year, Georgia was questioned of whether they would beat South Carolina. Even one of the SEC analysts throws out the gauntlet saying that he's picking South Carolina to win. So I decided I'd pull that down so you could see this guy's face, and everybody will know that Takeo Spikes predicted South Carolina to win. So when this is all over and done, you'll know who Takeo Spikes is.
I am completely sick of the disrespect that they're putting on Spentler's
Let's go.
Name. I'm telling you, and I didn't even play quarterback.
Tell him.
But let me tell you why, though, because it's so much the element of surprise. We talk about how can a defense prepare for a quarterback that they haven't seen, and that's what Spentler Rattler is going to bring to the table. Defenses can't really say, I know what you do until I get 3 to 4 games on the book. When you look at them, they come out and they play Georgia State, then Arkansas. Of course, Arkansas is going to be hard. But I really got this team upset in Georgia at home in Columbia. Make sure you're close. I need to have your number on speed dial.
Is there a reason why you're pointing at me?
Well, I mean, you
I'm gonna
do
get out of the way over here. You want to just, you guys want to settle this here?
We could talk about Auburn too.
Well, that's another day.
Okay.
Also, just so you know, all the producers in the truck right now are cutting this tape, and they're saving it. They're putting it on a shelf. And believe me, we're going to come back to this conversation in this clip.
I love it.
You're on mute, brother.
So first of all, he can't even say Spencer Rattler. He's called it Spentler. So number one, that's you don't even know who you're talking about. You called him Spentler Rattler. So everybody knows who Takeo Spikes is now. So you got a face to put with the name. Realize that he has no clue what he's talking about. And I'm picking the Dogs to win big. I'm going 42-10 Dogs. I think we come home with a good fried chicken meal from old Sir Big Spur. We'll taking him on back and barbecuing him up. So. Well, guys, any final comments? I don't see any more comments on our screen here. Matt, you got any final words for us?
Well, we better come out on fire. That's just how it is. I mean, last Saturday's game, I know we're playing Sanford, but we had to come out with passion like we did against the Oregon game. Better be every game moving forward. If we're not, we're going to see more of that lethargic, moving team that we cannot afford to do this year. I think the first part of the year was, we are the hunters and not the hunted. They better come out as the hunters tomorrow. Better take care of business.
Absolutely. Kevin?
Totally agree with Matt. Matt couldn't have said it any better than what he did. I don't think there's anything more to add to that statement.
Cool. Let's hit a few comments here before we get off. Hunter Ivy says 3-0 come tomorrow. Mark my words. UGA is going 15-0 this season and going back-to-back. We are going to win the Natty again. I love it, man. I love it. Go bold or go home. Dad says, I think his name is Baby Rattler. It might be. Might be. Well, guys, great show. Hey, thanks for coming on. Thanks for everybody for contributing. Great comments tonight. Probably one of the best comments we've had all season. Our comments box was pumping full. I couldn't keep up with everybody. But appreciate everybody coming on. So let's send this thing out right. What do you say, guys?
Let's do it.
So, guys, we're going to head up to, there you go, 17 standing up big. Bennett's going to come in, show up, show out, guys. Finally getting the respect that he deserves.
Yes, sir.
Go up there to South Carolina, take care of business, come back, and be ready to rock and roll for the rest of the season. So, guys, I'm Brian, Kevin, Matt. For Middle Georgia Dog Pound Live. We'll see you back here next week. And go Dogs!
Go Dogs!